In 1902, a young girl named Lillian crouched in the corner of a sunlit nursery in a small English town. Her fingers clutched a worn teddy bear, stitched carefully by her mother, the fabric soft with love and years of handling. Her eyes, wide and innocent, smiled faintly at the camera as the photographer captured the moment. At first glance, it was a simple, wholesome image, a child and her beloved toy, frozen in time. But decades later, when the photograph was restored in the late 1990s, experts noticed something unsettling. Lillian's fingers were not ordinary. The joints were contorted unnaturally, bending at angles that seemed impossible for a living hand. The tips were darkened, almost as if they carried a shadow of something long past, and one tiny nail appeared unnervingly blackened. What had been a charming portrait now whispered of something far darker. The innocence of a child clashed with the subtle horror embedded in her hands. In that quiet nursery, frozen in silver and light, reality itself seemed fractured. Lillian held her teddy bear, but her fingers held a secret that would disturb anyone who looked too closely. Lillian Hayes grew up in a modest, ordinary household in early 20th century England. Her father worked long hours at a local textile mill, returning home each evening covered in soot and sweat, while her mother devoted herself tirelessly to the home and children, ensuring the small house was clean, warm, and orderly. The world of 1902 was a delicate balance of simplicity and hardship. Children were expected to be obedient, to follow rules without question, and to navigate a landscape where dangers, illness, harsh weather, or even the threat of accident were constant companions. Childhood, though fleeting, was far from carefree. Photographs were precious, rare glimpses into daily life that families would treasure for decades. They captured moments that might otherwise be lost to time, a child's first steps, a wedding, or a quiet afternoon at home. Lillian's portrait, taken in 1902, was one such moment. In the image, she held a small teddy bear close, a comfort in a world that could be harsh and unforgiving. The bear's fabric was soft from years of handling, its tiny button eyes reflecting light, almost as if it too were alive. At first glance, everything appeared ordinary, the girl's expression calm, the sunlight falling naturally across her small hands, the innocence of childhood preserved forever. But nearly a century later, during a restoration project by archivists and historians, the photograph revealed a subtle yet undeniable anomaly. Lillian's fingers, which appeared relaxed in the original print, bent in impossible ways, angles that anatomy and physiology could not account for. Experts in photography, anatomy, and child development studied the image in disbelief. No injuries were documented. No medical records suggested deformities. Yet the photograph held undeniable evidence of something physically impossible. Speculation ran rampant. Some suggested the anomaly was a result of retouching or shadows misinterpreted by modern eyes. Others whispered darker theories, that the photograph had captured more than a moment, that trauma, fear, or suffering had somehow imprinted onto the emulsion, leaving behind a shadow of something unnatural. Lillian's small hands, once symbols of tenderness, warmth, and innocence, now carried a silent story. A story of hidden pain and a secret that no one had been meant to see. Life for Lillian Hayes was, on the surface, perfectly ordinary. She attended the local school, learning her letters and numbers under the watchful eye of a stern teacher. Afternoons were spent running through cobblestone streets with neighborhood children, their laughter ringing in the air as they chased one another or played simple games with hoops and sticks. At home, her mother guided her through chores, teaching her to sweep floors, polish shoes, and care for her younger siblings. Every day followed a predictable rhythm, a cycle of study, play, and domestic responsibility. Through all of it, the teddy bear remained her constant companion. Its worn, patched fur and slightly lopsided button eyes were a comfort in a world that could feel precarious and unpredictable. Lillian carried it to school sometimes, hugged it at night when shadows crept across her bedroom, whispered secrets into its stitched ears, and trusted it in ways she could not yet articulate to anyone else. It was more than a toy. It was a confidant, a silent witness to her small joys and unspoken fears. The photograph, taken in 1902, captured a quiet moment of this ordinary life. Sunlight spilled softly across the nursery floor, illuminating a small rocking horse, neatly stacked toys, and lace curtains that swayed gently in the breeze. Lillian sat upright, a faint smile on her lips, her tiny fingers wrapped securely around the teddy bear. The composition suggested innocence, security, and domestic tranquility, a snapshot of a childhood untouched by the harshness of the outside world. For decades, the image remained tucked within family albums, largely unnoticed amid generations of mundane snapshots. Lillian grew into adulthood, married, and eventually passed away. The photograph, however, endured, preserved in careful storage, its surface gradually yellowing with age. It was only when historians and archivists began digitizing old collections in the 1990s that the unsettling anomaly became clear. Lillian's hands, once presumed ordinary, revealed bends that were anatomically impossible. Subtle discolorations along the knuckles and darkened nail tips that no records or family memories could explain. No injury, no medical condition, no manipulation of photographic technique accounted for the distortion. The small, delicate fingers that had once clutched her teddy bear now carried a silent, disturbing story. The photograph became more than a preserved image. It was a window into something ordinary yet profoundly unsettling. Beneath the charming exterior of a child holding her favorite toy lay evidence of pain, trauma, or forces beyond understanding. Each glance suggested a hidden reality, a question that echoed through the decades. What had those small hands endured? And why had the camera captured their truth with such eerie fidelity? As attention turned to Lillian's 1902 portrait, experts began a meticulous analysis. Photographic historians examined the daguerreotype for any signs of manipulation, retouching, double exposure, or lens distortion, but found none. Every element of the image, from the play of sunlight across the nursery floor to the delicate details of the lace curtains, aligned perfectly with photographic practices of the early 20th century. Anatomists studied the position of her fingers, measuring joint angles and calculating what should have been physically possible. What they found was disturbing. The bends in Lillian's fingers were far beyond normal anatomical ranges, without extreme deformity or deliberate manipulation. Yet medical records and family testimony confirmed that she had no congenital conditions, injuries, or other explanations for such contortions. Some scholars began whispering theories that went beyond the material. Perhaps the photograph had captured an imprint of trauma, a residual echo of fear or pain embedded in the visual record. Others suggested something darker, supernatural interference, the subtle bleed of past suffering into an enduring image. In this light, the fingers were not merely limbs, they were storytellers. They chronicled a history invisible to the world for nearly a century, a record of silent anguish, a testament to experiences too painful to speak aloud. Family members added their own recollections. Oral histories, long unrecorded, resurfaced in the wake of the photograph's scrutiny. Lillian had often recoiled from shadows, clutched her teddy bear as if it were a shield, and avoided certain rooms in her childhood home. These moments, minor and easily forgotten at the time, were now given new weight. The photograph validated memories that had been invisible, rendering them tangible in ways that defied explanation. As magnification and infrared scanning progressed, new anomalies emerged. The shadows surrounding Lillian's fingers shifted imperceptibly, subtle yet undeniable. The teddy bear appeared to move in minuscule increments, catching and reflecting light differently from one analysis to the next. Even the faint outline of the rocking horse seemed slightly displaced under scrutiny. Each observation reinforced the eerie conclusion. This was not merely a photograph capturing a quiet childhood moment. It was a record of something hidden, a narrative of suffering, resilience, and mystery encoded in the very fibers of light and silver emulsion. The image, ordinary to the casual observer, revealed itself to be extraordinary. Lillian's fingers, small and delicate, became a map of pain and endurance. The photograph was no longer simply a keepsake. It was a living testament, a fragment of a hidden story that refused to remain silent. preserved in light for over 90 years. Restoration experts confirmed the photograph's authenticity with painstaking precision. The glass plate, the emulsion, the subtle interplay of light and shadow all aligned perfectly with techniques used in 1902. No additions, no retouching, no manipulation of any kind. Yet despite this confirmation of genuineness, Lillian's hands remained impossible. Every joint, every unnatural curve defied logic, anatomy, and reason. The image, once innocuous, now became a portal into questions that seemed to evade explanation. Anatomists pored over the details, calculating angles, testing ranges of motion, and consulting historical medical texts. Historians cross-referenced family records, school reports, and oral accounts for any hint of deformity, accident, or illness that might explain the contortions. Archivists studied the chemical composition of the plate, confirming that nothing in the development process could have produced the anomalies. No answers emerged. The hands, delicate and small, were unlike anything that should exist, yet undeniably real. Debate spread through academic and photographic circles. Some proposed that the image captured the physical imprint of trauma, an unspoken record of pain, fear, or suffering left etched on flesh in ways the human body could not normally accommodate. Others suggested a psychic or spiritual imprint, the invisible history of a child's experience captured in light. And a few whispered even stranger possibilities: time anomalies, moments of reality bleeding forward or backward, fragments of events that had yet to exist, preserved in silver and glass. For those who viewed the image, the effect was immediate and disquieting. Curators, historians, and casual observers alike reported unease, the sense of being watched, or that the fingers themselves were subtly alive. Shadows appeared to shift minutely, reflections to change imperceptibly with the angle of light. The teddy bear, once merely a symbol of childhood comfort, now assumed the role of witness, its stitched eyes eerily reflecting the impossibility before it. Lillian's innocence, once assumed, was revealed as layered with hidden truths, a secret encoded in her hands that defied the passage of decades. The photograph transformed from a simple family portrait into a living enigma. It provoked questions about memory, trauma, and the recording of human experience. Every glance seemed to carry more than nostalgia. It carried an echo of something unseen, a fragment of reality that lingered just beyond comprehension. Lillian's fingers, frozen in silver, told a story that had remained invisible for nearly a century, a testament to suffering, endurance, and the haunting persistence of the impossible. Those who examined Lillian's photograph under magnification discovered details invisible to the naked eye. Tiny, almost imperceptible creases along her finger joints, suggesting extreme stress or contortions far beyond what the human body could naturally endure. The subtle shadows between her fingers seemed to shift depending on the angle of light, revealing a depth and texture that hinted at unseen forces influencing the image. Even the faint glint on her small blackened nails seemed deliberate, like a trace left behind by some hidden, unfathomable process. Every detail reinforced the impossibility captured within the daguerreotype, transforming it from a simple portrait into a living enigma. Archivists and historians noted that similar anomalies appeared in other photographs from the same period. Certain poses, expressions, or objects seemed to record more than the physical presence of the subject. They captured emotion, trauma, and the residue of unseen events. This led some experts to speculate that early photographic processes could, under rare circumstances, act as a conduit for what could only be described as an imprint of reality beyond ordinary perception. Light, silver, and time itself might conspire to record fragments of experience that the human eye could not perceive. For descendants and viewers, the effect was profoundly unsettling. Those who stared too long reported a sense of recognition, as though Lillian herself acknowledged their gaze. Her fingers, impossibly bent, seemed to tell a story that no one had ever been permitted to see. It was not a narrative of play or childhood innocence. It was a story of endurance, suffering, and resilience, hidden behind the comforting guise of a young girl holding a teddy bear. Each joint, each shadowed fold, was a testament to experiences long buried yet preserved with chilling fidelity. The photograph became more than an image. It became a silent witness, a keeper of memory, trauma, and impossible truths. It reminded observers that history is rarely simple, and that moments frozen in light can contain far more than they appear to show. Lillian's small hands, once considered ordinary, now conveyed a language of pain, secrecy, and resilience, a story encoded in silver and shadow that transcended generations. In the quiet examination of that single haunting photograph, the impossible was undeniable, a whisper from the past, a glimpse of hidden realities, and a reminder that some truths remain invisible until the light chooses to reveal them. The photograph of Lillian holding her teddy bear became one of the most studied and debated images in the archives. Scholars, historians, and curious visitors came from far and wide, drawn not only by its age, but by the undeniable anomalies embedded within its frame. To a casual observer, it seemed a simple portrait of childhood innocence. But the more one stared, the more unsettling it became. Lillian's faint smile, soft and serene, clashed starkly with the unnatural angles of her fingers, forming a quiet tension that seemed to whisper secrets no one was meant to hear. Many described an almost palpable dissonance, a sense that the photograph contained two realities at once. The world of early 1900s domestic life, and something hidden beneath the surface, dark and incomprehensible. The family, long aware of the photograph's strange qualities, preserved the original with extreme care. Generations passed it down as both a keepsake and a warning. Oral histories, once dismissed as faint memories or exaggerations, now aligned eerily with the visual evidence. Relatives recalled that Lillian had been sensitive to shadows, that she sometimes recoiled from empty corners of the room or clutched her teddy bear in silent dread. Small gestures once attributed to childhood anxiety now seemed connected to the photograph's hidden story, suggesting a continuity of subtle, unseen trauma captured in the image. Visitors to the archive reported experiences that defied explanation. Some described the faint twitch of a finger, as if Lillian's hand moved ever so slightly under their gaze. Others felt the sensation that the girl's eyes followed them, a quiet awareness locked in silver halide for over a century. Shadows shifted imperceptibly when viewed at different angles, creating an uncanny sense of movement. It was as if time itself had been fractured within the photograph. Lillian existed simultaneously in 1902 and in every present moment, an observer and a participant, silent yet alive. The photograph became more than a historical record. It transformed into a witness, a repository of hidden histories, unspoken fears, and the intangible residue of experiences too subtle to be written in words. Every detail, the fold of a finger, the gleam in the teddy bear's eye, the light glancing across the nursery floor, spoke of endurance, vulnerability, and a quiet, enduring mystery. For those who lingered, it was impossible to look away. In that still haunting image, the past refused to remain fixed. It waited, observed, and whispered, a silent reminder that some truths are captured not in events themselves but in the light, shadow, and the subtle, impossible movements frozen forever on film. Some photographs preserve memory. Some reveal the impossible. In 1902, Lillian clutched her teddy bear, a small symbol of comfort in a world often unforgiving. At first glance, the portrait appeared ordinary. Soft light spilling across the nursery, lace curtains swaying gently, a child's faint smile. But beneath that quiet innocence, her fingers told a story no one had seen. Bent unnaturally, darkened at the tips, contorted in ways anatomy should not allow. They hinted at hidden suffering, trauma, or perhaps a force beyond comprehension, captured forever in silver and light. Historians, archivists, and anatomists alike were confused. Every crease, every shadowed joint seemed deliberate, encoded with a narrative invisible to the untrained eye. Her small hands became witnesses to moments the world had forgotten, secrets no written record could hold. The teddy bear, once a mere toy, became a silent companion. an observer of truths buried in quiet pain, preserved forever within the photograph's frame. Look closely at old images. The light may reveal more than the past. Sometimes it carries echoes of what should not exist. Fragments of suffering, whispers of unspoken history, traces of realities we cannot yet understand. Some photographs do not merely capture a moment. They carry the resonance of centuries, the weight of human experience, and the shadow of mysteries waiting to be unraveled. And as always, the truth was never buried. It was only developed. This is Truth Uncaged. Subscribe, stay curious, and remember, some images don't just record the past. They whisper secrets that span generations, waiting for those who dare to look closely.